My talk is going to be about a specific case, building design system for one of our clients, but I will try to generalize for like common situation. The first, let me introduce myself. So my name is Varya, and my title now is Design System Specialist because in our company, Intergalactica, which is a design studio by Nordcloud in Helsinki, we have a special group of people who are dedicated themselves for the design systems. This topic is huge now. And speaking about me, I have over 10 years of experience in front-end development, and I worked in small to large projects across the globe, so I can say so. And from very beginning, it was very much focused on component development. I was a part of BEM team, if anyone remembers what it is. And then I moved towards style guide-driven development and button libraries. And apparently, we can say that this is what we are now calling design systems. We just use different word for the same thing. But are they actually? So what is actually design system? I'm sometimes a little bit confused when I'm asked to explain because this concept is so wide. And if you go to just check internet for design systems which are publicly available by different companies, you will see how different they are, how differently the companies approach the topic. So some think that design system means a library of patterns. Some think that they have to focus on maybe visual guidelines or tone of voice. Some extend it to processes, some provide tools, and some companies do everything, but still they will approach it differently. And here, if we are building our own design system, so what strategy we have to choose? It's not so obvious because we cannot just take a design system of some other company and copy it because they are so different for a reason. And maybe if we just copy something, it doesn't fit our company, our project at all. So this is a hard choice here. And I will describe a case of our client, Elisa, and how we understood what we are going to do in the design system for this client. Elisa is a telecommunication operator, and it's a large company. Actually, as telecommunication operator, it's largest in Finland, and it also operates in the neighboring countries. It has long history from 19th century, but now, of course, it provides modern technologies, and also it is a content provider, and they have a shop for devices, and basically a lot of websites and a lot of mobile applications, which all have to be aligned under the same brand, and they have to share UI components, and also code-wise there should be some sharing. So I have been working a design system for Elisa from very beginning, years ago, but by that time it was not design system, it was just library of CSS components. Then I switched to some other projects for several years. And from the beginning of this year, I came back to there. They already had much more developed design system. And this talk is going to be about what has happened this year and why. So basically, design system in Elisa means several so-called products of design system, which are the UI kit and sketch, which all the designers share and contribute into. And there is also a library of CSS components, apparently publicly available. And there are several React libraries, depending on what exactly you need. And there are shared tools and practices, and very good design and development community with regular meetings, and we're very open. And even we, as consultants there, we feel a part of this team. So it's a very good place to try something. And here is what we were doing. So this year we decided to concentrate more on what we are going to do. Understanding of that didn't come first. We were like shouting to the dark, but now I can wrap it up so that very often in design systems and in other projects, people skip the what question, and they start with how, because it feels obvious what you are going to do. And people and myself as well only concentrate on like how to achieve this goal. And but apparently it shouldn't be done this way. And what question should be answered and should be answered, but for that it should be properly researched. And, especially in the design system case, because bias here is huge. When we develop a normal service, we usually understand that all our assumptions about the user needs are not true. We have to make proper research and understand what the user is needed. But here in the design systems, we all are designers and developers. Come on, we know what is needed. Let's just do it. But that's not like that. So, and we decided to approach this designing of design systems similarly to how we would design any other service. Let's say that this is a service for customers, and our customers, our users, are the colleagues for whom we are building this system, and we want to create something valuable for them. And to understand what exactly we want to create, we went through classic design thinking process and applied to user-centered method. So we started with the research, collecting data, and then processing this data. And indeed, we had industry research, meaning learning from you, from conferences, articles, and so on. By that time, we prohibited to ourselves to just start working, start coding, and start doing something based on that information. It was just knowledge collection. Then we collected some quantitative data automatically, which we could. For example, the project of the company, they are on GitHub Enterprise, and we managed to write a script which collects the volume of usage for every component, and so we understood where it is used and how many times. And there were some other data collections as well, which we processed later. And then we went through classic user research. So we started with questionnaires when we asked people something like how long it takes to add a new version of the libraries, and how long they wait for the new release, and so on. And getting these results, we realized that we have to approach our users a little bit closer, and we set up interviews with teams, with each team, and we had discussion with each team, which was the TypeScripted, and so it is very important thing actually, because we came back to this data again and again, and it was very good to have it documented and to have it written. And also we now documenting feedback, and we put it into one place so that we later can process all this data. So, but initially we started with, when we got these results of the interviews, we started with direct processing. by that time we didn't have clear vision what to do with this data. And so we decided to categorize it the way, like from different perspectives. Like we made a presentation which showed what we are doing now, and then what people expect us to do, which was a bit different in a way that they wanted much more. And apparently, we got very good feedback. People did say that the libraries we are producing are saving them a lot of time, and they're very, very much pleased with the existence of design system. But still, they wanted much more, and you would never have as much resources as people want you to spend. But by that time, we didn't yet see it as a problem, because our dream activity was that we are able directly respond to the requests and implement and organize everything, everything what they needed. But being realistic, we also made another section in the presentation, which was realistic plan. We narrowed down everything what people needed, and with understanding of what we actually can provide. And this was our first attempt to process the information. But then we kind of said to ourselves, like, stop, it cannot be like that. Because if you take this approach, we would need constantly increase our team, and then workload would grow and grow, and it's never-ending process. And I'm kind of grateful for this situation, because it showed very clearly this resource problem, which has nothing to do with budget or something, because whatever the budget, you will have this problem again and again. And so we decided to have even closer look and continue our research, having participatory methods, meaning to invite the users, the colleagues we are researching, to do something, and through that they provide us more information, and probably we do something with it. So we ran 2 workshops of the same content, but the workshops were separate. This is an important thing, because there were 2 groups. One group were us, the design system team. We asked another person to facilitate the workshop. And another group had the very same workshop, but separately, absolutely independently from us. But the content was the same. And another group was imaginary product team, which we just collected from different teams, like some developers, some designers, PO. And in the workshop, the people did the following. So we had kind of canvas of the process, and we had to outline the process, what happens to the pattern. It had to be ideal but realistic. And we also narrowed down the topic so that we could discuss everything, but we decided that we will discuss only what happens to a new pattern, because we could also include bug fixes and brand changes, but it is just too wide for 2-hour meeting. And so we were outlining the stages, like which stages this process goes through, and it was from identifying the business need in the pattern to actually delivering it to production. And for each stage, which groups invented themselves, what are the stages, and then they said what is happening, what are kind of sub-stages of that, and who is doing that, what, and how they are doing, meaning what tools are used and what technologies are involved. And apparently from these 2 groups of people, we got very different results. So the design system team was thinking one, and the users of design systems had absolutely different view. Both are very good and clear, but the fact that they are so different gave us a lot of thoughts. And so we started to think, what are we going to do with that? And our outcomes were the following. So, we decided to change our focus completely, and from now on we consider design system as a process. So our goal is not producing something anymore. So even though we're still committing code, we're still making components and patterns and so on, but this is not our focus. Nowadays, our focus to facilitate the process, which helps the other design system aspects happen themselves. So we kind of create environment and everything what is needed for that environment so that other people could together make the design system. And precisely the goals are ensuring that everyone is using design system properly and usage is increased. It is already very, very good by numbers, but still we are focusing on that. And the very, very important goal is increasing contributions, because since we changed our focus, we can produce less and we need others to produce even more. And with that said, I actually want to underline the importance of involvement of different people in the design system, because we have been speaking about involving everyone all the time. But through our research, we also understood that there is a kind of paradox, because the people who are the most distant from the design system actually are the most valuable people. Let me explain what I mean. We are making design systems, but not everyone in the company is so much interested in that. And this is normal because people have different specializations. We cannot expect PO of some project to be as concerned about the design systems as we are. But apparently, these people are the most close people to the business cases, and they can bring the most value to the design system. This leads us to the conclusion that contributing to the design system, either code or even giving ideas, should be as easy as without any effort. There should not be any learning curve. Some person in the company should be able to spend just 5 minutes of their time and we already get something into the design system. So this is something what we are focused on now. And for that, we are working on what we are calling information availability. Just a bit. Okay. So what kind of information we are spreading? We are talking to the people about what we have done, because this is what they are going to use. We are doing it in both automatic and manual way. So as for automatic, we are generating release notes based on PRs we have merged, but manually we have human-friendly explanations, because come on, no one reads these release notes. So we have to speak to people. And the same for what we are doing right now. We have some generated information, like what is happening on GitHub right now, what is the status of reviews and so on, what is the status in Jira, and also we are sharing in person at meetings and just in face-to-face communication. And we get, because of that, we get feedback much earlier than after the release, and it's very good. And also, we are sharing about what we are going to do, and our community very much appreciates it, and they give a lot of feedback, and sometimes we are even not sure if we are going to do something or not, and it's just open discussion. And there is nothing better than that. There is nothing like, well, I heard from some people that they are afraid of showing themselves incompetent because you shouldn't ask too much. But it's not the case for here, because this is something which serves everyone. And also what we are doing is that now we are sharing about how we are doing the things, especially the routine tasks which feel very obvious to us and they are already common sense to us, but apparently in our research showed that it is not common sense to our users. And we have to be very open, and we don't have to keep any commercial secrets on how we did something in the design system team. So we are sharing everything about that as well. As for channels of communications, we have regular meetings, and the company culture helps us a lot in that, because in ELISA there are bi-weekly front-end and design meetings, and as a design system team, we just make sure that our presence there is constant and that we are frequently speaking at these meetings. And we also communicate with product teams by their requests. They are free to ask us for pair programming session or even for private workshops, and also face-to-face communication with people. We have a channel in the Instant Messenger. In our case, it matters most, but it doesn't matter. It can be Slack, Outlook, or whatever. But we made people understand that they can always reach us in this Instant Messenger, in this channel. And also we facilitate discussion between people. If there is some open talk about something, we tag relevant people and then they start discussing without us. And this is also very important for the aspect of design system when it bridges between different specializations. So like bridge the gap between designers and developers. And they can now do it in the common channel they have. And the last thing is that, as you might remember, design systems are often called single source of truth for the brand, for the UI elements, and sometimes even for implementation of UI. But then we got thinking, what if design system itself needs to have such single source of truth? And yes, it needs. And we decided to express it as an internal website where we store all documentation, tutorials, and blogs. And I can show you a bit more about this website. Since it's internal, you can only see screenshot, but that doesn't really matter. It's just like illustrative picture. So we built a website with Gatsby, which was very easy. And in there, we now store all the information. And previously, we did have different websites for our products, like this CSS library style guide is even open publicly in the internet. And we had storybooks for React libraries published internally. So there were websites with documentation. But design system is not just one of its products. Design system itself also includes processes and even community. And it also has to be documented, and there should be place for that. So we decided that this internal website should be a place for such documentation. And it already has, we are still developing it, so it's very much under construction. But now you have single URL. From that you can be linked to Jira and GitHub, and which has also information for the newcomers and description of all the concepts we are doing, and even a blog. And we, as I said, we keep it internal. This is why we can be very open in our blog posts. And we don't care so much about NDA, it's still internal. And in here, in that blog, we are posting all the announcements and also just general thoughts. And we also encourage the whole community, designers and developers, to be authors in that blog. And when creating information for that, like the content of that blog, we are trying different approaches. So I can show you several examples. Do you recognize the picture? Yeah, so it is Brad Frost's, I would say, decision tree for the pattern. But you can see it in more detail at his maintaining design systems. And for us as a design system team, who have been working with the library for years already, it was quite obvious. But apparently our research showed that these three, and what happens to a pattern, and what actually a person should do when they face some need, is not so obvious for our users, and that's a problem. So we decided to provide also documentation for these obvious information, because apparently it's not common sense. It was only common sense for those people who are very much focused on that. And we extended this idea of decision tree. So I again need to refresh. Okay, so as I said, our website is developed with Gatsby, which means that we can implement any React component there, and it will be interactive, so we don't limit ourselves at all. And we have developed interactive decision tree. I can show you an example. So basically, there is a scheme with questions to which you can answer yes and no, and then it guides you through the whole, we call it pattern journey, the whole path of the pattern. And so a user of design system can follow this scheme, and so they can see if they are using some pattern from design system, or if they are contributing into design system, or if they are borrowing something from the other team and still contributing into design system. The interactive part is that each node can show a pop-up with explanation how you can find answer to this question. And here you can see just plain text, but at our website it also contains different links because it explains you that you can find answer to this question if you check specifically these filter in Jira, or you can ask specifically these people that matter most. Okay. So, besides, we are trying to be very creative. So when we are doing some routine things, we are often making screencasts, and it's actually faster than writing text. And so we want everyone else to know, for example, how to add a new icon. If something happens to us, then the design system will be safe. And even how to do some complex things, like how to release the library. Then we build some dynamic content since it's React, and there is no security issues because everything is internal. So we can approach GitHub information and Jira information by APIs, and from that information we can generate very user-friendly and nice-looking reports. And other interactive solutions are even very funny, because recently we even made a React component which implements SVG cartoon, and our colleagues liked it very much, that they are very creative to deliver information to them. And the last thing we did is about changing our processes, because apparently in our research it was visible that we don't deliver information, but it also works the other way around. Our users, the colleagues, they have very good ideas, and something of that we could, it was better than ours, so we could implement that, and we decided to provide changes into our process and also communicate the whole picture of the process back to them. And This was not easy, and we wanted to make a process which covers all our activities, which are like working on visual language, producing components, and communicating with people, and everything. But we wanted it to be very simple so that even newcomer understands what this process is about. And we wanted it to be expressed through some tool or somehow like visually approachable. And for that, we ran a workshop again. We now like them. It was internally for our team. Unfortunately, I cannot show you the results of the process, the results of what we actually did, but I can describe you how it was, and probably you can repeat. So we categorized all our activities, and from that we saw that typical workflow when tasks are moving from to do to progress and then to done is not for us. So it is like that for smaller chunks, but the bigger things, they are living other life, another life. And now we represent our process as two-dimensional. So we have some other workflow in another dimension, and we managed to express it in Jira, and also provide the tools which make the whole board shows picture about everything happening in the design system, but we also provide opportunity to narrow down the focus to a specific epic or even to a specific person. And we are also using Jira as a database for to store data for further usage. And it already worked very well when we had a need to calculate budget for and resources for our future activities. And the business people liked it very much, and they even said that they never saw any numbers about design. And now there are not only numbers, but they also, according to our explanation how we got these numbers, they said that they even believe these numbers. So, which is I count as very good. So this was just some examples, and that's not all, but the path we have chosen. And that said, I encourage you to be creative and to make a design system which is good for your company, for your product, and for your colleagues. So that's it. Slides are here. Thank you.